Don't ever make a call on anyone, any customer, someone important, without giving a lot of thought. Don't ever pick up the phone, which is just really a powerful tool like you've never seen, without thinking and writing down. Pale ink is better than the most retentive memory. I just repeat that. Pale ink is better than the most retentive memory. Write it down. So when I'm calling a customer, I know exactly what my opener is. I know what the middle is. I know how I'm going to ask for the order at the end. Very, very important. And then with some humor too. So that's my philosophy.
It is with great pleasure that I get to introduce this individual and a dear friend of mine. So let me tell you a little bit about who this person is. He has sold 10 million books in 52 languages in 80 countries. He's written 7 straight New York Times bestsellers, 3 of which hit #1, including Swim with the Sharks Without Being Eaten Alive. 2 of his books were recently named by the New York Times among the top 15 inspirational business books of all time. He is a nationally syndicated columnist, and his weekly articles appear in 100 newspapers across the country with a circulation of 10 million readers. He is the founder and chairman of the $100 million a year Mackay envelope company. Mackay, why did I just say that? Well, of course, it's standard with this. Yeah, I've only known Harvey McKay, if I haven't already said it. Okay, wow. The American Management Association listed Harvey among the top 30 leaders who influence businesses in 2014, which also include Colin Powell, Jack Welch, and Richard Branson. In July 2015, Forbes said Harvey McKay is one of the world's top leadership experts who has accomplished more in a business than most entrepreneurs could achieve in their lifetime. So, again, it's with great pleasure that I bring up this brilliant guy, fun as hell, awesome, amazing. Give it up for Mr. Harvey McKay. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you. Yes, thank you. Okay. So, got some questions for you, but you know what?
First of all, thank you for that sitting ovation. Come on, just kidding. Just kidding. When you stand up, I'm afraid you're going to leave.
That's great. So, what other than what should people know about you that I didn't say?
What should they know about me?
What should they know about you that I did not say that you think would be useful?
Well, number one, I'm a marathon freak.
Yeah?
I've been running all my life.
How many have you done?
10 marathons,
okay.
New York's, Boston's, for those of you that are marathoners out there. And number 2 was going to be a professional golfer, all the way to age 18. Always wanted to be an entrepreneur. Still have trouble spelling the word, but that's exactly what I wanted to be. 11 grandchildren and 3 kids. Love to travel. I was going to see all 207 countries in the world, but 9/11 just wiped me off the map. Imagine posting an American coming to all those countries, just waiting to get killed. So anyway, my home's in the sky.
Yeah.
About 5 million miles, and live in Siberia, Minneapolis, but came here approximately 30 years ago as a snowbird.
Yeah.
And then became a citizen. Was president of the Chamber of Commerce the year I came over here 15 years ago. It's a definition of a secret is when one person knows. And I've kept it a secret for 15 years. It's a banner headline story back in Minneapolis. You know, if you know that the president chamber moved from Minneapolis, because of taxes and everything else here to Phoenix, Arizona. So far, no one knows. So I'm not worried about you keeping a secret. I'm worried about the people you tell who can't keep a secret.
Well, so there's a lot of things that I could ask you before having you come out here. I said, you know what? Let's talk about books. You've written 7 books. You now got an 8th book that's called "You Haven't Hit Your Peak Yet," which comes out from the time we're doing this. What?
January 29th.
Yeah, a couple weeks.
Couple weeks.
All right. And Uncommon Wisdom for Unleashing Your Full Potential. Lou Holtz wrote the foreword to it, and you actually were kind enough to introduce me to him, and he was freaking amazing. Who's older than?
I'm a little biased. How many have heard of Lou Holtz? Most of you? Okay, sure. He and I have been joined at the hip for 30 years. He's my best friend in the whole world, other than my family. And we talk almost every other day. He's a genius. Not an exaggeration. Washington Speakers Bureau,
Yeah.
they've called him #1 speaker 10 years in a row.
Yeah.
In the world, not the United States, in the world. So he's quite a guy.
Yeah, you invited me to that small meeting where he's unbelievable.
Yeah.
How old is he now?
He's 82.
Okay.
82.
Okay. If you were to get in a physical fight with him, you think you could take him?
He's so skinny, he could tread water in a test tube. I could blow him right over.
Okay, that's good. I'm glad you got that competitive.
Now let's burn the tape or I can't start my car.
Okay. So, all right. So why'd you write this? Like the world needs another one of your books, right?
Well, number 8 coming up. I started reviewing all my material that's gone on, as I say earlier, the 1 speech a week for 30 years, and the column, been writing 25 years. So that's 25 years times weekly.
Yeah.
You know what that adds up to be. And then the speeches once a week. Again, add all that up, and I haven't covered all my information yet.
Right.
So I decided to write the book. Book is about sales, marketing, entrepreneurship, leadership, negotiations, hiring, firing, time management, creativity, visualization, and on and on and on.
You know, there's a lot of ingredients and elements to having a successful company. And I mean, you've had a very large, $100 million plus a year company. I mean, you've built some very successful things. I mean, how do you ever say to someone where to start? Like, because everyone wants what's the one secret? What's the one thing? Where's the area of focus? And the fact is, it's a puzzle put together in a certain way that produces a certain result. I mean, where would you start?
Well, there's 1 million words in the English language. If you don't understand this 4-letter word, you can't be an entrepreneur. You can't be a CEO, you can't be a president, you can't be a coach, you can't be president of a university. As I say, impossible to be an entrepreneur. What's the 4-letter word?
Risk.
H. No, you can guess all day long and you won't get it. H-I-R-E. Hire. You can't hire, you're done. You're finished. You can't do it all by yourself. Can't start at the top and work up. If I'm running a 2-person lemonade stand, my next hire is the biggest single decision I'll make. We have 500 employees at the McKay Envelope Company, now called McKay Mitchell Envelope Company, a company I founded in 1959. So I've been at it for a long, long time. And anybody can buy an envelope machine. We make 25 million envelopes every day. That means you have to sell 25 million envelopes every day. And they're distributed in about 18 countries also, mostly though the United States.
So you know a little bit about direct mail too.
Well, that's our baby. Just very, very briefly, because the Super Bowl is coming up in a couple weeks. Just turn on your television set. Most of you will be watching the Super Bowl. And then just go get a Coke and come back in 30 seconds. And Coca-Cola might have been advertising, or Pepsi-Cola, for 30 seconds. Price, $7 million, plus $500,000 to make the ad, plus you're forced to buy 2 or 3 other ads during the year. Go pick up New York Times, whole page, USA Today, whole page, put your ad in there, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Go get my little envelope. 187 million homes it gets into, and it's dirt cheap compared to that kind of advertising. And remember, you can only use an envelope once, and then you have to come in and order more. So it's a wonderful industry.
Yeah,
it's
awesome.
a good business. But back to the book a little bit. over and above all those subjects, I decided to take on truth and integrity and attitude and persistence, and they're all two pages basically. In fact, the real secret is just you buy it, put it on your nightstand. You don't need any sleeping pills. Just pick it up, boom, you'll go to sleep. But it will, very proud of it. Swim with the Sharks is still selling 30 years later, 100,000 a year, which I'm very proud of. And
so wait, you're still selling 100,000 a year of this book?
in that book. 30
Wow, 30 years.
30 years later.
It's crazy.
Well, and then Times named it, that's the thing I'm most proud of. Along with Dale Carnegie, you've heard of Dale Carnegie, and Think and Grow Rich, you've heard of them, and Norman Vincent Peale, and Stephen Covey. I've got 2 out of 15 on there, so that's giving me chapped lips from kissing the mirror too much. you get real cocky when something like that happens. But believe me, it's what keeps you going, for sure.
What earlier today we did a tool called "What Pisses You Off," and so what disappoints you? What really? When do you get really disappointed and really feeling like, ah?
Should I lose? You know, you never talk about politics. Should I lose 50% of the audience now in one sentence?
It's up to you. You could.
No. Off and on, I get really ticked off. No, I don't even think I'll say it. I got to stay away from politics. So let me just see if I can. Can't win. You can't win in the political future. I'm a political junkie, and I've been raised in a political family, and spending my whole life with governors and senators and representatives and mayors, and so that's my side life that you don't know about.
Yeah.
So I'm a junkie. I'm addicted, total addiction to politics. But as far as what ticks me off or pisses me off more than anything, I would say I don't like the education system as far as what's happened, and you all know about the scandal, of course. One family paid $6 million to get their son or daughter in the USC. You remember that? I don't like that particular way. It's just a crushing blow for every kid that's got a dream in order to get into school.
Yeah.
And so you can get in the numbers, you can get in the criteria, you can get into politics, and I guess I don't like the way the world runs, let alone the United States runs, when you can just pick up the phone and get so much done.
Gotcha. So with that, how do you bounce back from be it failure, disappointment, betrayal? I mean, what is your method of resiliency and stamina to deal with?
I appreciate that. You hit me in a straight flush. I just brought a couple papers from home just in case some of these might apply to what you asked me. I'm not sure. But I've had this long time. Back in Minneapolis, swivel around, there it is, hanging. It's just a copy of it, and this is what keeps me going. And I hope all of you have heard of it. I'm going to guess that maybe a third of the room has heard this before. You can't hear this enough. Anytime you feel like quitting throughout your career, perhaps you remember the story of one of our people. He failed in business in 31, ran as a state legislator, lost in 32, tried business again in 33, and he failed again. Sweetheart died in 35. He had a nervous breakdown in 36. He was defeated for Congress in 43, defeated again for Congress in 48, defeated when he ran for the Senate in 55, and defeated for the vice presidency of the United States in 56. Ran for the Senate again in 58, he lost again. This man never quit. He kept trying to the last. In 1860, this man, Abraham Lincoln, was elected president of the United States. Seems if we want to triple our success ratio, might have to triple our failure rate. How many have heard that before? See that? Third of the room. You can't hear it enough. And so I read it every week.
You know, it's funny, none of that was set up. I had no idea what you had in there. I just was asking you this because I genuinely...
that just happened to apply. And, if talking about failure, I'm a storyteller. You don't mind that, do you?
No, I do not. And that's what I expected of you.
But talking about failure,
Hey, I hope you're enjoying this video, and I want to let you know that I have a new book that's come out, and if you'd like to get it absolutely free, there's a link below in the description, or you can wait till the end of this video, or you can simply go to joesfreebook.com and you can get a copy there.
A fellow walks into a bar and he's disheveled and drinking, hunched over, and in comes a 6'6" monster, bells, whistles, boots, everything. Pushes him right off the bar stool, inhales his drink. How do you like that, sonny boy? He says, well, Mr., I'm having a bad day. He says, I woke up this morning and got downsized out of my job, and I had to go home and tell my wife, and she left me, and they stole my car this afternoon, and now I come in here to commit suicide, and you drink my poison. You know I'm a storyteller.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, and let me put it in reverse, if I may. We've never, because you tried twice. You're 0 for 2, so no. You told 2 stories up here. I thought they were pretty funny. On a 1 to 10, they were 2. Okay, yeah, that's all right. No problem. But
thank you.
We do have a tradition at our company. This has been going on now for over 50 years. Nobody who's a manager or who's hosting the meeting can open up the meeting without telling a story or a joke less than 60 seconds. Men and women, everyone. And this makes them a better presenter. There's a lot of reasons why I do it. So I was going to, usher in this little story, less than 60 seconds. And it's as follows. President Obama, President Bush, President Trump, up to heaven through the pearly gates. God is waiting. God says to President Obama, what do you believe in? I believe we have to eliminate starvation, face of the earth. Come on in. President Bush, what do you believe in? I believe we have to eliminate nuclear proliferation from the planet. Come on in. President Trump, what do you believe in? I believe you're sitting in my chair. So that's my 60-second thought.
Wonderful. I wonder if I should interject this with a question or just let you keep going. All right, so I'm going to ask you some, which seem like so obvious questions, but coming from you, I'd like to hear your answer. So,
sure.
What is your advice on someone who wants to be more successful? And you've probably heard this a million times, but what's your advice? Because you're sitting in a room right now with already, from a financial standpoint, people that are in the top percentage of highest income earners in the world, and there's other people that are going to listen to the recording of this.
Well, the first thing I'd say is, biggest room in the world is the room for improvement. So I don't care where you are in your station in life. All right, there's plenty to go. I have on my tombstone, I wrote it out. What does it say? He couldn't sleep fast enough. I don't want to miss anything. I want to go to sleep. I'm afraid that I'll miss something. With the whole world out there and 7.2 billion people, and it's just 208 countries approximately. Things are happening every single day. They're getting their MBAs from Harvard, from Siberia. It's just unreal that there's so much out there. So we're not talking, of course, about money. Everything I write about is not, yes, it's going to unequivocally make you more money. I believe it'll make you 2, 3, 4, 5 times what your net worth is today if you have 3 things. I don't interview anybody for a job once I find out, that they don't have it. I don't hire again anybody. They have to have 3 things. Number 1, they have to be a hungry fighter. Number 2, they have to be a hungry fighter. Number 3, they have to be a hungry fighter. Now I start with ethics and integrity first, and then that goes the rest. I don't mentor anyone. I've mentored a lot of people over a lifetime. But unless I know that they're going to practice the right concepts, then there's no question about it. All right? No sense spending any time with them. So that's all up to you. But what you're doing really here is, yes, you're making solid money and you want to make more. But guess what? You want to be happy and you want choices. So I love money. I just love to make money. Why is that? Because it gives me choices. Time. Time. We all started out in life with one thing in common. We all have the same amount of time. Now it's just a matter of what we do with it. And so I'm a time management freak, just so I can get in everything. I mean, at my age, quite frankly, I always had about 5 to 7 years. I really think I've lived 7 years longer than what my age is. And that's because of time management freak, which I learned from my father. So to be successful, back to your question, let me just say this. Practice makes perfect. That's not true. Perfect practice makes perfect. Practice something time and time again, and if you don't know what you're doing, all you're doing is perfecting an error. You've put a ceiling on how good you can become. I've studied the Japanese, Russian, Chinese, Arabic languages. Quite frankly, people think. They think I'm a heck of a linguist. Catch that? Guess you have to take my word for it. Actually, I'm a lot slower learner than most of the people whom I started my language classes with, but there's one marked difference. I started with all of them, but I finished, and they didn't. Repeat, I started with all of them, but I finished, and they didn't. In Japanese, it might take 200 hours. Chinese, 400 hours. Arabic, 300 hours. Russian, 250. But eventually the breakthrough does come, and when it does, it's like a stone cutter, hammering away at his rock, 100 times without a dent in it. And yet on the 101st blow, the rock will split in two. And you know it was not that blow that did it, but all that had gone before. So if you're not willing to practice and practice till you get it right, you'll never make the breakthrough, okay, on the 101st blow. Real simple, fast example, okay? Let's take Chinese. Okay, yeah, it's a tough language, no question about it. The reason why it's tough is that approximately 30% of all the words have 4 totally different meanings. They're all spelled the same way. Yen is an everyday word. You know, how would you pronounce yen? 4 different ways. Let me help you. Yen, 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 yen. Now this yen means salt. This yen means cigarettes. This yen means to perform. This yen means to swallow. So if you want to count from 1 to 10 in Chinese, goes er san su with a little chibacho, sure. Perfect practice makes perfect. Now, I submit to everyone in this room, we make the decision, every one of you, you're going to learn Chinese. I want to know, show of hands, how many can do it. You make a commitment, learn Chinese. How many think they can do it?
If I make a commitment.
Make the commitment. You're going to do it. How many can get the result? All right, and we got 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hands. Piece of cake. There's over 1,400,000,000 people that speak Chinese. Everyone in this room can learn to speak Chinese. Quick example. My son, he's at Stanford. He's right at the absolute peak of his learning career. I'm an old fogey, okay, 20 years out of school, whatever. And we decided to go to Japan, so we take Japanese. We go to Berlitz Language School. 3 weeks into the classes, I'm on page, approximately 35. He's on page 100. So what? So he's 3 times faster than I am. I still got there. Took me, 3 times longer. And so every one of you can do that. Now, if I can talk about this for a moment, I've made a list, and I have approximately 20 coaches. I have a coach for everything. I have a speech coach. I have a language coach. I have a humor coach. I have a tennis coach. I have a golf coach. I have a marathon coach who's been by my side all 10 of those marathons. I have, as you know, a language coach. I have a dancing coach, according to my wife, thanks to my wife. I have a memory coach out in New York. On and on and on and on, 20 of them. Why do I have all these coaches? Because whatever my God-given talent is, whatever my God-given potential is, that's it. I can't do any better. I'll have a project, time and action important, time and action calendar, go get the best advice I can in the world, not the United States, study it, practice it, try my guts out, and guess what? I don't give a damn about the result, because I can't do any more. I've lived my whole life that way. Can't do anymore. I've written all those columns and books and everything, and basically it comes down to 3 words. Prepare to win. Boring. Would you rather buy Beware the Naked Man Who Offers You a Shirt or Prepare to Win? Would you rather buy this book? Okay, all right. You haven't hit your peak yet, or Prepare to Win? Would you rather dig your well before you're thirsty? No. But that's the 3 simple, basic things. Prepare to win. And as I say, very boring. But that's the reason why. I never worry. Because the only time you're nervous is if you're not prepared to do something you're supposed to do. I talked to 15,000 people in Vegas 3 weeks ago and launched a new company, which we'll be talking about in a little while. And why should I be nervous? As long as I prepared my guts out, which I did do. But if I didn't, and I have to come out there and fake it, holy cow, I'd be so nervous. So I submit to each and every one of you, yeah, go through your entire life and you give it all you got, and you prepare to win, and you do your homework, and you seek advice, and the probability goes dramatically up that you will perform well.
Do you experience?
Long answer, I'm sorry.
No, it's good. Do you experience fear?
Do I have fear?
Yeah.
No. No, fear of failure. It can be fear of anything. It can be fear of living. It can be fear of dying. It can be fear of no. I would.
Did you ever?
Well, these are all kinds of questions Joe have never answered before. You know, have I ever trying to think? Yes. Yeah, I can think of one time, for sure. Yeah, I had very, very serious prostate cancer that had spread. And that's a real problem. Trust me. Knock on wood, all luck. I got out of it. I'm still here 25 years later. So yes, that was a medical fear for sure. And other than that, no life-threatening. Well, I guess I did have one other one, another quick story if I can. I'm talking to 1,000 people. It's in New York. It's 7-8 years ago, and it's at a theater. Theater goes straight up. The floor is cement, and I'm 30 minutes into my speech, and I faint, dead away, hit my head, all kinds of blood everywhere. They tell me I was unconscious. They get 911 there in 3 minutes, and they take me to the hospital. And 2 days later, what did I do? I had E. coli in my blood system. And then I flew myself to, my wife came and got me, flew to the Mayo Clinic, 23 days in the hospital, and that was a pretty good chance. Might not make it. So that's the medical fear that I've had. Now, the reason why I tell you that story is the CEO of the company called back, and he, a little hemming and hawing, and he said, after about a couple months later, he said, and he paid me obviously an obnoxious honorarium. He said, how about you coming back and finishing that speech? And I said, well, of course, obviously I will. So, roll back, same audience, same theater, straight up, same kind of floor.
How much further along, how many months later was this?
4 or 5 months then, finally.
Okay.
3, 4, 5 months.
All right.
And so, and they pull the curtain, and I come out from behind the curtain, and they say, he's got the introduction. I got, 30, 45 minutes left on my speech. Pulls the curtain, and I'm in a wheelchair with my leg up and bandaged, and bandages around my head. And I've got a server, caretaker, wheeling me out to the podium. They lift me up. Okay, and I lean over and I said, as I was saying, now the reason I tell you that story is because creativity, and this is the most creative guy on the planet, you know that. I haven't told you anything that you don't know. I admire him just tremendously, but creativity, to add creativity to your life. I wasn't creative, but I got a creative coach. And she taught me how to be creative. And everyone in the room, there's no correlation, zip, zero, none, nada, correlation between IQ and creativity. Every person, and write it down, in this room can become way more creative than you ever dreamed about. And that's the reason why I happen to mention it also. I hire after I go for integrity, after I go for hungry fighter, right up at the top is creative people. And I just love them, and I'm doing it all the time, and I could keep here 24 hours to tell you what I've pulled in my lifetime on creativity. Let me, that goes to ethics if I can. I would like to read one thing here though, and that is as follows, because I mentioned ethics. You gotta absolutely be, well, don't hire anybody unless you've got the ethics. Okay, so I call this always act like your mother is watching. And then I want to talk about ethics then, just for a few minutes, because it's right at the top of my list. There's been a consistent, gradual decline in ethical behavior, I think, American corporations and in the United States, 50 straight years. Just my opinion. It's been going down. And I'm talking about from senators to congressmen to state politicians. I'm talking religious institutions. I'm talking businesses and businessmen. I'm talking athletics. I'm talking education. Harvard and Stanford, the last 5 years, huge cheating scandal. And it just goes on and on and on. So I want to give you an example, okay, of what ethics is, very, very succinctly. A mother was invited for dinner at her son Brian's apartment. During the course of the meal, Brian's mother couldn't help but notice how beautiful Brian's roommate Jennifer was. Brian's mom had long suspected a relationship between Brian and Jennifer. Over the course of the evening, while watching the two interact, she started to wonder if there was more between them than met the eye. Reading his mom's thoughts, Brian volunteered, "I know what you must be thinking, Mom, but I assure you, Jennifer and I, we're just roommates." About a week later, Jennifer came to Brian saying, "You know, ever since your mother came to dinner, I've been unable to find that beautiful silver gravy ladle. You don't suppose she took it, do you?" "Well, I doubt it," Brian said, "but I'll send her an email just to make sure." So he wrote, "Dear Mom, I'm not saying that you did take the gravy ladle from the house, and I'm not saying that you did not take the gravy ladle. But the fact remains that one has been missing ever since you were here for dinner. Love, Brian." Several days later, Brian received an email back from his mother. "Dear son, I'm not saying that you do sleep with Jennifer, and I'm not saying that you do not sleep with Jennifer, but the fact remains that if Jennifer had been sleeping in her own bed, she would have found the ladle by now." McKay's moral: if you have integrity, nothing else matters. If you don't have integrity, nothing else matters. So anyway, I'm looking for humor all the time. I'm looking for creativity. It's everywhere there, and I just submit and challenge everybody in the audience to don't be boring. Don't be predictable. Don't ever send another letter, without thinking about it. Don't ever send another email, a text, without thinking about it, without maybe putting a little bit of humor in there. Don't ever give a gift. Creativity and gifts, I could talk about that for an hour without giving it a lot of thought. Don't ever make a call on anyone, any customer, someone important, without giving a lot of thought. Don't ever pick up the phone, which is just really a powerful tool like you've never seen, without thinking and writing down. Pale ink is better than the most retentive memory. Let me just repeat that. Pale ink is better than the most retentive memory. Write it down. So when I'm calling a customer, I know exactly what my opener is. I know what the middle is. I know how I'm going to ask for the order at the end. Very, very important. And then with some humor too. So that's my philosophy, one of them.
Yeah, that's great. So you, with your books, with your talks, with your articles, with radio, everything that you've done over the years, what are you really hoping happens to the people that you reach? What are you really you're teaching business principles, but so much of what you do is about connection and it's about relationships, and it's about longevity. What do you wish will come out of, like, say, a reader of your new book as an example? What do you want to have happen?
I can go back to how you become successful, and I can go back to answering that question indirectly, but so important. And again, it's pretty much my whole life, and that is can be described very simply. When my father got a hold of me, age 18, right out of high school, going to college, lost my mother, breast cancer, age 49, he taught me the following. Hi, I'm Harvey. Hi, you're Joe. Right to my brain bank, I say to myself, and this has been going on since age 18, right to my brain bank, I say to myself, how can I help Joe? What can I do for Joe? How can I add value to Joe's life? And that's how I've lived my life all the way up, right till the day, with one caveat. I added one thing that I thought was very relevant, very substantive. This is key. Expect nothing in return. And I just, again, submit to each and every one of you, try it. Just 90 days, 180 days. This is to anyone that you're going to be in touch with. Now, someone you're not going to be in touch with, I have a way of doing it, because I can send him or her a book or something like that. But everybody you meet that you know you're going to be in touch with, just delve into that brain and try to find out a little bit about them. And that can come back to the McKay 66 at a later time here, a few minutes later. That's what I do. That's what I practice. That's what I'm looking for. There's no substitute for helping people get what they want. And you've all read it. You all know it, most of you. You don't know not to expect not expect nothing in return necessarily, all of you. But if you try it, again, 60, 90 days, 120 days, you won't believe it when you get up in the morning. It's exciting to get up in the morning because you're looking forward to helping some other people. And then with my contacts, I can reach, approximately 20 million people in 3 days. But I've been doing it since age 18. And my father, again, headed that Associated Press for 35 years. He taught me the whole Rolodex, which is, of course, now today the computer. And again, everybody I meet, hi Joe, hi Harvey, boom, I know I want to keep in touch with him, right in the Rolodex, computer today. Now here's the key, little bit about him on the back of the card, and then the bigger key is find a underlying creative way to keep in touch. And
well,
so that's what I've been doing.
Let's dissect this a little bit. And first of all, I want to set it up because you are a true master at connecting and networking with people. And so I call it genius networking because, my whole thing is I think any problem in the world can be solved with the right genius network, which is a group of people with skills and capabilities. And in order to have a genius network, you have to do genius networking and you have to be a genius networker. So it's a be, do, have. And I think through that you can accomplish almost anything. Now, I want to frame this with about not just going out and connecting with people and being of value to people, but also who you really become friends with. Because the way that, you know a lot of very influential leaders. I mean, Muhammad Ali was one of your best friends, and you just know everybody. And the way that I determine who's going to be part of my core inner circle and who isn't is I look at people who are more powerful. How do they treat people that are less powerful than them? Do they say thank you when someone opens the door? Are they nice to servers? Or do they only kiss ass to people that are above them or that they want something from, and they treat their teams and everyone else like crap? And so I'm always observing powerful people and how courteous they are, how caring they are. And my interactions with you, you've always been very caring around people, and that's what I've always admired about you. And you've taught literally millions of people how to connect with other people. So everyone here has the ability to deepen their relationships, bond with their clients at deeper levels, develop not only business relationships, but great friendships. And you're a master at doing this stuff. So I'd like to, and you talked about McKay 66, right?
So you got in perfect. It was perfect.
Yeah. So I'd love for you to talk about that, not just business relationships, but relationships in general.
Well, Let me tell another story to illustrate part of your point. You better know who's buttering your bread. Very, very, very important. And there's a superstar businessman who walked into a Philadelphia restaurant, sat down. The busboy comes up with a pat of butter and a roll, and he says, "I'd like another pat of butter." Busboy says, "One pat of butter to a customer, sir." He says, "Don't you know who I am?" He said, "No, who? My name's Bill Bradley. Graduated #1 in my class, Princeton University. First string All-American basketball. First string All-American academic basketball. First round draft choice, NBA, elected, Rhodes Scholar, elected U.S. Senator. Those are very impressive credentials, Mr. Bradley. Don't you know who I am? No, who? I'm the man in charge of the butter." And to your point, there will always be someone in charge of the knives and the forks and the butter and the plates. And we have to be nice to everyone. Yeah. It's important to be nice, but nice to be important. And you can't ever, ever forget that. I was last night for dinner, 100 people, Paradise Valley Country Club, 15 minutes from here, piano player, violinist, playing some music, and 100 people in the room, birthday for a fellow, friend of mine, and I got up in the middle and I walked over to him, because I meant it, sincerely. If you're not sincere, none of this counts. You must be sincere. I told them I love their music, because they're playing music of the old age people like myself, a little bit younger, but I told him how much I enjoyed his music. I'll bet he sat there for the last 10 years not having anybody come up for background music, telling him. But that to me meant something, because I love the music, and I'm a good singer in the shower. I'm really good. I'm big in the shower. I'm really big singer. So back to now then, another part of my life, major part of my life. I'm 18 years old. I go to college, got my degree, think I'm really big, know it all, and so forth. Then I get out of college, age 21, go to work for an envelope manufacturing company. They throw the yellow pages at me. Yeah, good luck, kid. And just didn't have a chance. I really had problems the first 6 months. And interesting, fellow's name was Carpenter. Came back one day and my dad asked me to find the old grizzly there. And I said, asking for advice, I said, "Tell me, how long do you call on a customer?" And he said to me, "Depends on which one of us dies first." And that's, again, when I learned my persistence, I would never, never, never give up. So then I'm calling on 300 accounts in the Twin Cities, St. Paul, Minneapolis. I'm 21 years of age, having a problem. And one day, I just decided, hey, I'm going to humanize my selling strategy. I'm going to find out as much as I can about all 300 buyers. I'm going to come up with 66 questions, and it's called the McKay 66. I want to know where they were born. I want to know where they went to school. I want to know about the spouse. I want to know about the kids. I want to know about their names. I want to know what turns them on. I want to know what his political persuasion is. I want to know him or her, how many jobs they've had, what turns them on. And I came up with these 66 questions. And for the rest of my life till today, even last night, I have kept the 66 basically on every single human being that I want to keep in touch with. Someday I'll read you yours.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that absolutely took Swim with the Sharks to 5 million copies in 1 year. My guys were crazy, that salesperson. How can you give this away? It's crazy. I said, look, 9 out of 10 people aren't going to do it, and we're 30 years ahead of the people that are going to do it. So I'm going to share it with the world, which I, in fact, did do. So, little aside, if I can, with Swim with the Sharks and 5 million, being creative, I want to be the first one to say, this is 30 years ago, money back guarantee if you don't like Swim with the Sharks. I'm not sure I was the first one. I don't know. I couldn't prove it. But I had a 3-week fight, World War III, with my publisher, William Morrow and Company. Interesting. Okay, I finally prevailed. They sold 5 million copies. 27 people asked for their money back. 7 of them were my best friends. I guess they wanted to keep me humble.
Right.
So back to the McKay 66 then. You want to go deep with every relationship. And what we teach at McKay Mitchell Envelope Company, which is my partner now, what we teach is, guess what? This is not just for customers. This is for suppliers. I want the best ink company in the country. I want the best box manufacturer, the best carton manufacturer. I want the best paper supplier. Anyone who walks through our front door, there's no difference between a customer and a supplier. We keep 66 on everyone. And when I'm out calling and still making calls, of course, then that gatekeeper is really important, he or she. Very, very important. So I keep a 66 too on the gatekeeper. And it's just real simple. That's all. This is another fabulous story. Red buttons. None of you, any of you ever heard of red buttons? Oh my God. God, I thought the median age here is about 35. I don't know.
There's a bunch of millennials we got here.
Yeah,
Right?
well, it's loaded with. Anyway, red buttons. This is just brilliant genius. See, one of the funniest comedians that ever lived. So he told the story that he was on the city, 52 circuits, 52 cities. You go out and back for his whole life. Every time he came back to the hotel room after having dinner or meeting some people, guess what he did? He made out his holiday card, his Christmas card. He put right in there, their son is Jody. Is so-and-so going to graduate? Did he make the soccer team? He wrote something from what he learned because it was fresh in his mind, and then he mailed them all at Christmas time. They thought he was a genius for 40 years. Best memory in the history of the world. Yeah, but it's just, again, a little creative idea, but wow.
You know what? I've actually heard you say that before, and that's one thing I have not yet done, and that is a freaking fabulous idea. And if first off, I'm curious to see with like the internet age, and see even your terminology, we call on customers, right? Now you say that to a young person. I mean, this is like there's no internet. You physically go visit them in person. You call them on the phone. You are doing manual labor in order to go and connect with people. And we now live in this day and age where people don't make phone calls. They don't go and visit people. Some do.
Agreed.
And the ones that do have an incredible advantage. People don't use direct mail. They don't do cards. They don't do postcards. And I mean, I've said this to thousands of people. 1 out of 100 ever does it. But I was like, if you want to improve your connections in your network, mail out 10 postcards, letters, anything physical. I mean, even if you text or do email, it's going to be better than what most people do. But you genuinely, every day, 5 days a week, you don't have to do it 7 days a week. It'd be 20 times a month. And if you did that for an entire year, a year from now, your network will be off the freaking charts. Your connections, your relationships, how people appreciate. And no one does this stuff.
Short notes yield huge results. Mm-hmm. I've been sending notes all my life. No one can talk me out of this thing. No, nobody can. President Bush, Father Bush, and Clinton, more Bush than Clinton, never, never, never would have been president of the United States without sending out short notes. Mm-hmm. I mean, I met Bush in an airport with his roommate, who was a friend of mine. I got a note the next day. Not just a total stranger in an airport. He sent out notes his whole life. So what I do is I scan, you don't know what newspaper means, but anyway, I scan the newspaper. I listen to television. I'm looking to catch someone doing something right. I'm looking for someone that just became, okay, they just made an acquisition. Their daughter again just did this, their son did this, and I'm looking to write that note. I'm up to now 700 people that I wish happy birthday to. So every day, I've got 1 or 2 or 3, sometimes I've got 6, sometimes I have none. Been doing that since age 21. And boy, I want to tell you, when you remember someone's birthday and you just call them, that's all, it is just remarkable of what happens. And then we teach our sales force, they have to know the birthday of their customers, right?
Yeah.
Have to know the birthday of their customers. And guess why? Because they go see them with a creative gift. They don't buy their business. They come with a creative gift, and they walk in and see them on their birthday.
Yep.
You can't believe how much our sales force writes up the business on someone's birthday. And I guarantee you 9 out of 10 competitors, they don't think about that. And just back to the book then for a minute, up until this book, I've gone to 25 cities, all 7 books. And I'm, again, lucky to be on Oprah and Larry King and Good Morning America and all the shows. But then I would go to Kansas City, and I go to Sacramento, and I go to all these little towns where the big hitters don't go with my 25 cities. They roll out the red carpet. Austin, Texas. I mean, I just remember all these book signings. So no one does book signings around the United States, you know, unless you're a major political figure. Almost nobody. But I went, did all that one-on-one. There's no substitute for one-on-one. I've tried to make 5 to 10, somewhere about 5 to 10 business deals where I get on the phone and I tell them, I would like to come and see you for 300 seconds. That's all I need. And the people have said yes. I fly 4,000 miles, 2,000 over, 2,000 back for 300 seconds. Because that 300 seconds, one-on-one, that if we get the order, we will perform. I will be your 911. Okay, you can call me 24/7. This means a lot to us. You can say a lot in 5 minutes. Say goodbye. I almost always get the order. No, I've so far, and this is as braggadocio as it gets and as self-serving as it gets, but not intended to be so. I've never called on a person that I haven't sold my entire business career. Never. Assuming not, you know, if it's a piddly little account and we can't get return on investment, anybody we wanted to sell. And my sales force, our sales force, they're way up there in the percentages too. In 80 to 90%, everybody they call, why? The McKay 66. Little things mean a lot, not true. Little things mean everything. And by doing all these little things over a period of a lifetime, that adds up to success. Incidentally, my definition of success is having a predetermined plan, successfully carrying it out over a long period of time, all right, and having a damn good time doing it. It's just simple, 88 IQ stuff, but it's simple.
What do you regret in your life, if you do, if anything?
Yeah, I certainly have regrets. Biggest business disappointment is when I regret, I call it dig your well before you're thirsty, another title of one of my books. Yeah. But I regret coming to work and having a 12-week strike. We've only had one bad year in 50 years, 50 plus years, whatever. When they struck us for 3 months, that was a big, huge business regret because I didn't think they were going to do it, and I got a little bit cocky and confident. We never had a strike in the history of the state of Minnesota in our industry, and boy, that one really hurt. 3 months of being shut down. I regret, if I could come back in a second life, I would like to be a college basketball coach. I'm a basketball junkie, all sports. I mean, I love all sports. Just again, as a brief aside to show you how addicted I am, I've been to 13 straight Olympics, Summer Olympics.
You going to the Olympics in Japan?
Oh, I got my room already. Come on. And I have to be. I can't say yes unequivocally because I just heard yesterday that it's 95 out there every day. So I might just fly in for opening ceremony and come back. I don't know. But I go for 17 days. That's all it lasts, is 17 days. I go to three to 5 events. I see ping pong, table tennis. I see the horses I know nothing about. Okay, equestrian. I go to every single sport there is. Why? Because I just happen to love competition. I mean, I love you guys. But if on the other side of that wall, 2 women, let's say, 85 years old, were playing tennis, and it's tied in the 3rd set, I'd rather be over there watching that and talking to you guys. It's a true statement. That's a true statement. I love competition.
Yeah.
And so, and you can really learn something from it too.
You know, okay, so what you're saying about competition, because I've had this sort of this thought of curiosity about listening to everything you've said, everything we've done interviews before, we've hung out a lot. I mean, we spent a good chunk of time together in the past.
Super Bowl, it's the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is it about, because you know, you love competition, you are persistent, you said you've always made sales. Why do people fail? I mean, you talk about preparation and all that, but I mean, genuinely, what is the mindset or the behavior etched, to use the word etched, it was shared with me earlier by Dr. Ramani that, you know, I've etched in my name, I'm saying names wrong. You have etched in you success and winning, and you love competition, and you're wired that way. And there's a lot of people that will maybe listen to you and be like, I'm not Harvey. I can't do, I don't know how he has, I wake up every day in fear. I mean, this guy had to search his brain to figure out like a moment when I was afraid. I don't worry. And you say things like that, and I genuinely, I mean, you're a funny, happy guy, it appears most of the time and every time I've seen you. And a lot of people may listen, it's like, I can't do this shit. But you've trained so many people to win. I mean, you are a champion of success. So, and everyone can pontificate their self-help theories and beliefs and everything. Like, what is it about a winner and a loser? What makes the difference?
Well, first of all, I'm not trying to clone any single person in this room. I mean, a person's life equals the total sum of his or her experiences. I've had a lot of experiences. Tongue-in-cheek here a little bit, my father said to me once, second is last. And of course he was just kidding. No, I really like coming second all my life. Everything I ever did, if I'd come in second, are you kidding me? It'd be terrific. But let me just add one thing. If you go ask 1,000 business persons, men and women, highly successful, forget about making money, yes, CEOs, presidents, and all that, with great lives, you know, a lot of charitable work, everything. 1,000 of them. How'd they make it? How'd they make it? Guess what? I'm going to give you the answer. I'm going to give you the answer. 90% of them will all say the same word. Somebody want to guess what that one word is? I bet you'll get this one.
Hard work. Perseverance.
Grit.
What?
Grit.
Higher. Okay. The word is 9 out of 10. Just trust me. I know I'm right on this one because I've spent, you know, my lifetime asking everybody. Mentor.
Mentor.
They all had a mentor. And I want you to all maybe write this down because you won't know what it means. Bass are where you find them. Repeat. Bass are where you find them. What's that mean? Well, mortgage money is where you find it. Mentors are where you find, they're out there. There are more people, believe it or not, willing to mentor you than there are people asking to be mentored. But everyone, never say no. Another just aphorism of mine. Never say no for the other person. Let them say no. I can't sell him. I can't sell her. He won't mentor me. She won't mentor me, right? Mm-hmm. Get that? Never say no for the other person. Let them say no. I mean, I've got 30, 40 people in Minneapolis, people I don't know, have come up to me in a lifetime, and I mentored them. You know, full charge, zero. That's all, changed their life? Yeah, I think so. But I said zero. I mean, you know, they just happen to be creative. Sent me one shoe, I'd like to get the other shoe in the door. I remember that one. But they become creative, they read my material, they never say no for the other person, they call up. And so everyone in this room has to practice that also. But you can't do it all by yourself. You really can't over a lifetime. And here's another fallacy, people don't understand. Mentors, everybody thinks mentors are older than you are. Nothing could be further from the truth. I've got 35-year-old mentors. I mean, the best guys, they happen to be men. Well, I'm sorry, one's a woman as of 2 months ago. But in the whole world, as to the internet and what they know, and so they can counsel me. You know, I've got a social media coach too, one of the 20 coaches. So mentors can be younger as well as older. And mentors change over a period of a lifetime. So that's very, very important from my perspective. That's how you learn all these things that you just talked about. You know, and you want to go deep. You want to have a relationship, and it's not money, money, money. It's you want choices. You want happiness. When you get them both, there's just no substitute. And again, I love, love, love to make money because it buys me time.
Yeah.
That's big what money does. It buys me time.
Love it. So is it pretty clear that this guy knows a little bit about how to make business work? Right. So let's just take a few minutes, and I want to give the audience. We got maybe like 10 minutes or so to ask a couple of questions for you, and then I'd love to have you talk about
Yes.
your book and what people will get out of it when they read it. And I'd love to help promote your book because you have put a lifetime into documenting and writing about success.
Harvey, I see,
Yes, sir.
I see how fit you are. What is your workout routine on a weekly basis? Do you do yoga or?
Well, if I tell you the truth, you're all going to faint and think I belong in a funny farm. This is a tough one to tell you the truth. I work out 8 days a week, which is hardly ever miss. If I'm walking golf, I've never taken a cart basically in my life. And those golf courses, the tough ones, are 7 miles uphill and downhill. So that's tough. Walked twice on Saturday, Sunday, this past Saturday and Sunday, which is a course that's only 5.5 miles long. But where the crazy thing is, I'm not on drugs. Trust me. I work out from 11:30 to 1 o'clock.
Do you have a trainer?
11:30 p.m. until 1.
He works out at midnight at night. I've been to his house. He has a gym there.
Really?
11:30 p.m. till 1 a.m. at night.
And I've been doing that for the last 30, 40 years. Now, let me...
It's very
go further.
interesting.
I have I have a trainer. I have a stretch coach because I play golf at a very competitive, for my age. I play very well. Nobody's ever heard of a stretch coach, but I have a trainer plus a stretch coach. And if you get starting to be stretched, I'd say age 50, 55, 60, boy, when you get out there in years, I want to tell you, you're going to be fit. Run 3 half marathons and then just gave that up for the exercise 2 years ago. But so the trainer really helps. Perfect practice makes perfect, right? I stretch, I do all my balancing in the shower. Try to stand on one, well you guys can, you're so young. Try to stand on 1 foot for 2-3 minutes. It's not that easy. I don't care if you're over 50 or 55. So I do some exercises there. I got 6 different machines that I work on, and then I get my news at the same time. So that's kind of unusual. Thanks for the question. I'm not crazy, but it works for me. Now I should say one thing that I just learned this about 18 months ago. I met and had him as a resource, one of the top doctors in the world on sleep. And in the next 60 seconds, I'm going to tell every single one of you how much sleep you need. How do you like that?
How'd you meet that
I know
guy?
exactly.
How'd you meet? Yeah.
I was going to mention that after. Through. Anyway.
See the arrogance of that statement for me?
He's a phenom. He's
Yeah.
phenomenal. But what did I learn from him? I learned from him how much sleep I need. I learned from him exactly. I can go 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. I'm going to tell every one of you how much sleep you need. You want to know? I'm going to tell you all at the same time. Answer. Don't set your alarm clock. That's how much sleep you need. So I started giving up 6:30 meetings, 7 o'clock meetings. I've been sleeping 1 to 6 my whole life. I studied sleep when I was in college. I mean, talked to Mayo Clinic, talked to doctors. They said your longevity will not be, jeopardized if you get 5 hours. Today, they put that doctor in the prison. Now, today, sleep is everything, as far as the newest research is. So if you don't set your alarm clock, that's exactly how much sleep you need. Isn't that smart? Great statement. Good question. Yes.
And also, how to keep your learning curve going? Is it mainly reading, or are you taking courses still?
I haven't gone back to night school for some time. I used to take courses, of course, all the time after I got out of school. But there's no substitute for reading. Now again, the whole world, is right here in the hand, and their social skills, I believe, will be reduced substantively by looking at this and sitting in restaurants, as you well know, and talking to each other at the restaurants. It happens everywhere. And so those millennials, and I'm not down on millennials at all, but the millennials will, and I got 11 grandchildren, so that a lot of them fit right in there. but they're living. I have to slam the car door and say, that's it. And we're going out to a restaurant, leave your phones. Nobody's going to be talking while we're having dinner, okay, on your phone. So reading is wonderful. I teach and mentor the following. I believe that you can get a college education if once a week, and I've been doing this course for 30, 40 years, but once a week, Sunday, New York Times. You don't forget your politics, forget the editorials. You don't have to read the editorial page if you don't want it. If you do, fine. But the New York Times, every Sunday, covers every subject in the world, substantively, in depth, fascinating. Their obituary column is phenomenal. You'll hear of people you've never heard of before that are just phenomenal. So once a week, you buy the Sunday Times, you put it on your nightstand, and you just peck away at it all week, before you go to bed. That's what I've taught to everybody. I won't mentor anyone unless they agree to do that, the young kids and so forth. They have to agree to do that and check in. But that's just, for me, that's one of the places where I get my knowledge, of course. And let me just go back to networking again, because it's so important. I've got, well, we've got time for a quick little networking story, and then I'll finish up.
Yeah.
I'll finish up.
Yeah.
Okay, because this is, you can't, if you had to prioritize everything I said, obviously networking's right at the top. But my father, again, head of the Associated Press, 35 years, was a national syndicated columnist also. He gets a hold of me, age 18. Again, and he says, every person you meet, rest of your life, I'm going to repeat, okay? Goes in the Rolodex file, a little bit about them, find a creative way to keep in touch. Now, I want to talk about publishing for a moment, okay? I'm an unknown first-time author from the flyover state of Minnesota, and I want to get published. Swim with the Sharks Without Being Eaten Alive. William Morrow and Company is the publisher. I'm really making this short. Have a couple meetings, not much happens. Finally, summit meeting. Now you have to understand, for 40 years, if you're an unknown author and you write a book, a business book, 10,000. They won't print more than 10,000. It used to be 1,500 Barnes and Nobles. Today there may be 600. But they would not print more than 10,000 if you're unknown. And I'm unknown. So now summit meeting, CEO, President, VP, National Sales. 20 minutes into the meeting, I asked for the order. And I said, I'd like you to seriously consider printing 100,000 Swim with Sharks Without Being Eaten Alive. We're on the 37th floor, they told me to jump. VP National Sales closes his book. Thank you very much, Mr. K. Obviously, we're not going to get together. And then he looks at me and he screams, "Who are you?" Screamed at me, "Come in here." He's laughing. 100,000? And we'd only print 10,000, unknown first-time author? Well, I brought 2 humongous briefcases in with me. Then I pulled out 2 huge Rolodex files. It's 30 years ago. 6,500 names. Started to go through them. General Mills, got 30,000 employees. We do business with them. Maybe they'll read the book. Maybe they'll pass it along. Pillsbury, 18,000. Honeywell, 22,000. Carlson Companies, on and on and on and on. 3M Company. Then I said, oh, we do business with about 5 countries then. In France, Germany, oh, here's Spain. Paco Galatas, got 2,000 employees. Maybe they'll read the book. Maybe it'll be an international bestseller. 3 weeks, 3 meetings later, they printed 100,000 hardcover copies, Swim with the Sharks. And one of the reasons why I told you this, because the world really goes around, okay, as to someone sets the table for you. If I want to get into General Electric, I have to have somebody, set the table. If I want to get into General Motors, I want to get into Google and sell them envelopes. Are you kidding me? It'll take 2 years. I have to find somebody that'll give me instant credibility. And that comes from networking, of course. Now, here's what's important about networking. You go, not you, this crowd, but a lot of people all over the country are going, remember, they exchange cards? Mm-hmm. It's worthless to exchange cards. What's important is the quality of what you have in your network, in your computer. If you're all my best friends, guess what? You can reach, if you live, if you're my very good friend, and we do things together, you got one card, right? You got one name in your computer, but you got 20 million people you can reach in 3 days. I'd like to have 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 friends like that. And so it's the quality of the card, not just picking up cards and having 200. Everybody knows 200 people. That I can tell you. Every single person knows 200 people, but that doesn't do it.
Yeah.
So.
So how can we as a group support your book?
Sure. I'm a little excited. I can't hide my enthusiasm for this, and that is follows. I'll be very succinct. This will only take a few minutes, but I have to open up with a story and give you the background. Several years ago, I was making again one speech a week all over the world, books in 80 countries. I decided to come off, the circuit for 1 year, and I'd form a round table. Now my skill, more than anything else above selling, is hiring. I've studied hiring now for 50 years. So I went out around the United States and I had interviews. And I looked for people with chemistry, I looked for hungry fighters, I looked for entrepreneurs, I looked for people that wanted to increase, their businesses. I picked 25 of them. 25 of them were doing between $2 million and $300 million. Most of them in the $5, $10, $20 million range, but a couple biggies too. Didn't know any of them. And here's what I did. I mentored them professionally. 6 meetings. The 6 meetings were held in 6 different cities, 2 days and 2 nights and 3 days. And I brought in world-class speakers that you people haven't heard of before, but the best in the world. Would they have heard of our sleeping guy or not? Probably. Did you bring him in?
I think I've had Michael Bruce at one of them.
Have you had Michael Bruce?
At one, but
okay. Yeah. All right, but anyway, there are so many great speakers out there, speakers you haven't heard of before. Obviously, I brought in Lou Holtz. Obviously, I brought in John Maxwell. You've heard of Maxwell, written 80 books, 75 books, #1 on leadership in the whole world. Nobody's second, third, or fourth. He's #1, 2, 3, 4, Maxwell. And then are from Mars, one are from Venus, brought in John Gray, brought in 3 or 4 or 5 that you know. But among all the videos, you don't know the other ones. And so that's what I did for 1 year, 15 teleseminars, and then they got access to my book, of course, electronically, and on and on and on. Just all kinds of interviews that I've done with people, interviewing Holtz, interviewing Ken Blanchard, who also came in, the 1-minute manager. Now, after 1 year, they made me do it a second year. So I did finally said, okay, I'll do it 1 more year. Went from 25 to 30, 19 men, 11 women was the mix. And again, up to $300 million. And then when they got back with 2 years, they wanted, 3/4 of them wanted me to do it again, and I said, I'm out, that's it. Now, what you must know, I charged them $150,000, $75,000 a year for all of this material. Now, here's what's inside that material again. It is all transcribed. In other words, here, every single speech, there's now 28 videos in there, everything's transcribed. Hear me talk for an hour and a half, push a button on the computer, 40 pages spit out. Hear Lou Holtz, 40 pages spit out. You're calling on someone from Notre Dame, holy cow. You bring that thing into them and lay it on their desk, here's Lou Holtz with a 40-minute speech, you got the order. That's all there is right away in 1 minute. So there are tests after everything, just 10 questions, multiple choice, can't answer 7 or 8, go on back and listen again on all these different subjects that I've been talking about up here. And now here's the key, okay? Here's the key. If you were to acquire this, then you can pass it on to your family. Need a job, doesn't matter what it is. All these different books, everything. All these different speakers. Pass it on to your family. Give them the key, okay? Give them the password. Pass it on to your key people at work. You want to grow your people. The one way you build a business is you grow your people. 1 person, 2 people, 5, 10, doesn't matter. So you get to pass this on to them. Over and above that, you can pass it on to your key customers. Can't give it away to 1,000 people or 500 people, but this is what the bonus I am giving to each and every one of you for what I call a reasonable request. Reasonable request, that's all. And it's all word of honor. I have no problem with that at all, as long as you're associated with Joe. So this is the book. He already read it, you know. You haven't hit your peak yet. Interesting that if you open it up, there's Harvey shaving. And what it says in there is really simple. For 25 years, I've had this Post-it note, which is right there, on the mirror. I've been looking at this Post-it note for 25 years. Didn't know what to call my book. So you haven't hit your peak yet. That's what I've been looking at for 25 years. So that's the title of the book. And as I say, titles mean everything, as I called off some of those titles to you. Use your head to get your foot in the door. We got fired. That's the best thing that ever happened to us, some of my titles. So I worked very hard on that. So the book comes out on the 29th. Amazon rules the world. If I can get from everybody in this room a best efforts commitments, you all have social media, most of you, I think, have social media. And if you can hit your social media, best efforts, you don't have to report anything to me. All you have to do, and you want to write this down, Harvey@McKay.com. You go to Harvey@McKay.com and just say I was in Joe's session, okay, and I gave it my best effort, whatever.
Mackay.
Yeah, it's Mackay, Mackay. But the more important thing is when you go to Amazon, I'm looking for pre-orders. Pre-orders, I haven't got a chance how to sell books, but I can tell you pre-orders are the almighty today in book selling. That's what Amazon determines everything on how many they print and so forth. So I'm looking, hopefully, for 25 to 50 books that you can make a best efforts to sell. If you sell 10 and you give it all you got, fine. You still get this. You get this. It's called the Harvey McKay Academy, is what I just described to you. Now, I'm going to be interviewing Joe. He doesn't even know that. I keep putting new things up every 2 months. So there'll be new material on there all the time. And I'll be traveling around the country interviewing superstars. So that is the Harvey McKay Academy. It reeks with an MBA in the real world. And when you hear Holtz and you hear all these speakers, you hear people talking on trust, you hear them talking on subjects that you never heard of them before, but when you hear them, wow. I mean, they're fabulous. And then it's transcribed again. So you got the paper academy all in your hands. You got the quizzes. Share them with your family, share them with your friends, share them with your customers, share them with your employees. That's pretty good for just the best efforts of 25 to 50 books. And I'm doing that because of this guy. I don't think I've ever done this before. But I just respect this guy so much and how he's helped so many people, plus myself. And that's all you have to do. Oh, it'll take about 30 days because I've never done this. It'll take about 30 days to get you that information. The book isn't out to the 29th. One last thing. So pre-orders are up until the 29th. Best efforts on pre-orders there. But then you can't go past February, the first week in February. You have to just forget about it after the first week in February. I mean, and the reason why is every bestseller list, everything's the first week. That's it. You have no chance to climb back on there, almost zero. Not zero, but pretty close to zero. Everything's 1 week, first week. Mm-hmm. That's why if you're going to write a book, you have to plan the marketing campaign 1 year before. Before you even pick up the book, you have to start talking about marketing, which is so very important. Any questions on that at all? Everybody understand that? Have I made that perfectly clear?
Can you repeat the process, please?
What's that?
He said if you could repeat the process, please. Just
Oh yeah, the process is real simple. You're going to give your best efforts with social media or calling friends or calling one guy that owns a company. Hey, I just heard this guy. I think you should buy 25 or 50 books. Okay, pre-orders at Amazon. At Amazon. And use those that you have social media, which are many of you. Then you use your social media course. All right? Anything you want to say in that social media.
He has a big ass following.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
fine. Yeah, what's your number? Okay. I'm kidding. And then no matter what the result is, because you're not going to know the result either, but you'll have a good feel and touch.
Will you do podcasts and stuff with people here if they have a big
I
following?
can't do that just because I've run out of time. I've got my podcasts all lined up.
Gotcha.
And so that's simple. Otherwise, I'd love to, of course. Even if you had 10 million names or 5 million, I have to keep my word to the people that I said I'd do a podcast to.
Yep.
And again, dig your well before you're thirsty. Only networking book you'll ever need, that's in 200 colleges, one of my 7 books. That's what I did. I dug my well and I've already planned everything. So then all you have to do after that is just go harvey@mckay.com and just mention Joe's name. I was in the audience, and I gave it my best efforts. And then within 30 days, you'll receive what they paid $150,000 for. Every single word. And you'll have enough on your plate there for many, many years to come, in your family and your kids and everything. And I think, and it's material like I just talked about. What you're going to get is what you just heard in the last, I don't know, 60, 70 minutes, whatever.
Awesome. Well, so I sort of told everyone your age yesterday, but I misquoted it. Unfortunately, I told them the wrong age. Would anyone like to guess how old Harvey is?
Are we adding the 7 years?
Don't be complimentary.
87.
Who said that?
87.
You're exactly right.
Sure. He remembered
He's
you
87.
Said, he remember you said 86 yesterday.
Yeah, I said 86
You got
yesterday.
good memory from yesterday.
No, I remember from when we had your meeting over at the Candy.
Oh, inside
okay.
information then.
He's cheating.
Oh yeah, okay. You don't qualify. I was
Give
gonna
everyone else a chance.
give a $100 bill if they guessed on the first crack. Okay, yeah.
Well, give $100 to Genius Recovery. We'll be good.
What didn't I ask you that I should have asked you?
You asked me everything. Everything is fine. Just perfect.
Yeah.
A lot of things we could have talked about, but that's
Well, to be
fine.
continued. It always is.
Yes.
And you know what? Yeah, you've done amazing stuff. I really appreciate you coming down and sharing your wisdom with everyone. We will do our best to promote this book. And what do you guys think?
Woo. Thank you.
There we go. Thank you. Okay, I hope you found that video awesome and useful. So if you want to get a free copy of my book, I want you to click here. And if you want to watch some more videos that'll be useful and awesome, click here. Go ahead. They're over here. Do it now. Come on. Thank you. Watch them.